and welcome to our live panel discussion here at the Da Vinci STEAM Centre at the British International School, Shanghai Puxi. I'm joined by my colleague Jenny, as always. Also joining us on the sofa, our principal, Mr. Andrew Lancaster, our head of primary, Miss Elizabeth Westwood, and also joining us again, Mr. Ryan, who gave us that STEAM demonstration class just a moment ago. Andrew, I want to start with you. We spoke about what questions parents should be asking when choosing an international school. I want to switch focus now to the children. I want to ask you, what helps children really excel in early years in primary school?
Thank you, Simon. So I think really when you're looking at a child's educational journey, how do you prepare your child coming into the early years, and how do we support them on that educational journey? I think principally the first thing is that we know children are naturally curious. So they want to discover things, they want to find out about their environment, and our role is very much to allow them to do that. But in order to do that, they need to be confident. And so they need to be happy, they need to feel cared for, and they need to feel safe. And that really is the very first part of the focus on any of the children that join the early years, is that they are welcomed. And so we're very much focused on their well-being. And then from that's your springboard to then ignite their curiosities.
Feeling confident, feeling safe, these are things which we hear every day from parents. But I'm curious as to how you do that. How do you make sure that a child is feeling safe? How do you make them feel confident? Those are difficult things.
Absolutely, and that's where the expertise of the teacher comes into play. So first of all, and you can visit Ryan's classroom, for example, it's about having a learning environment that's stimulating. So we know children are curious, we want them to feel confident about exploring those different areas of the classroom. So if you look at an early years classroom, you'll see there are stations here, you can move around the classroom, and you'll see children on their own exploring different things, perhaps looking at colour, maybe textures, shapes, and they're investigating them. And then it's the job of that teacher, that expert, who will then work alongside them to ask them the right questions. Now, we're all full of questions, but the thing about the training and the expertise of our teachers is, when do you ask that question? When is the child most receptive to responding to that question? When are they able to articulate what they think might happen next? What does this look like? It's about the timing, the tone, the type of open or closed questions that our teachers asked. And that really is the magic, the expertise in that area of the school.
It's kind of like a coaching mindset when you work with the children. I'm curious though, we're here in Shanghai, and most of our teachers, I guess, would come from the UK or would come from different places. How do you make sure that you get the right types of teachers that you want for this school?
Absolutely. So the key, what do we want? We want our children to be engaged, we want them to love coming into school. And so part of that is recruiting the right teachers. We know the British curriculum very well, we deliver that. Lots of our teachers are recruited from Britain, but we're part of Nord Anglia. We've got 66 schools globally, and we share our resources. We have an education team in Oxford, they share their resources, and it's actually about how we develop and train our teachers. It's how rigorous we are in our recruitment processes, because we need to make sure we get the right teachers for our children.
Interesting.
Okay, so Elizabeth, tell us all about UK curriculum for early years and how that benefits children.
Okay, well, Jenny, our early years, it's actually early years foundation stage, and we were talking earlier about how foundational that is, and really that's where the learning starts. It's where the journey begins. It's the crucial elements, and it's where our children develop that natural curiosity and how we harness that into learning. And we've taken the best from the English National Curriculum, and we've tailored that to our context, to our environment, and to really build on what's done in the UK, and we've developed that into something really special here at Bistapushi.
So is the UK curriculum appropriate for the children who are not from the UK, or for the children who will want to study in Asia or Europe or America?
Absolutely. It's best to think about it almost as a toolkit. We're teaching children skills, and they can take that toolkit to wherever, whichever country, whichever curriculum they go to, or whichever stage that is. Yes, of course, they could take that back to the UK, they could take it to America, they could take it to another school in Asia, back to Europe. It doesn't matter, because we're teaching them skills, we're teaching them ways of thinking, and we're giving them those ideas, and then they can take that.
And that's exactly what we see in the classrooms, isn't it?
Absolutely.
That's the exciting part when you go into the classrooms. It doesn't matter the nationality of the child. It's that expertise of the teacher. It's that exciting learning environment, and that for all of our students is an excellent individual gift for them, isn't it?
Absolutely. And just to add to that, from my experience of working in England and now in China, I find that the best early years units are those that have a real diversity, and children from a great range of backgrounds, have great range of experiences. Only then can they really learn from each other. I'm humbled to work in a school where children are coming with such a rich array of experiences at such a young age, such an amazing array of skills, languages. It's sort of really humbling for me, who's trying desperately to learn Mandarin, and they're coming in confident and happy. And I think actually it's a benefit to have a British curriculum, but not just for British children, for a diverse range of children. So our British children can learn from the international children, so our Chinese children can learn from the British children, all working together, as you'd like a team to work in that manner. But I think it's certainly a benefit from my experience.
I think there's a massive benefit in having that diversity within the school, but also in terms of the partnerships that we have, Elizabeth. We partner with what we feel are the best internationally. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about how you work with MIT and STEAM, with the children, Juilliard and Performing Arts, and UNICEF perhaps, in terms of how these international partnerships benefit the children, what types of projects they do?
So starting with Juilliard, when we were one of the first schools in the North Anglia group to start with the Juilliard collaboration, and we have visits from the experts from Juilliard, and they'll do everything from individual workshops with small groups of children to whole classes, to teaching model lessons, to then doing some staff training, and then some work with individual children. And one of the great things about that is that children are getting to learn from the absolute experts in their field. They're getting to learn from the very, very best. We have a very talented range of specialist teachers. These are, however, are people who are top of their field. And that's an amazing offering that we have. And then at MIT, thinking back to the early years, that the early years is the foundation of the STEAM curriculum. That is what the early years does. That's what young children do. And actually we're feeding that all the way through the school. And the MIT collaboration is brilliant at giving us those new ideas. It's harnessing that curiosity and actually really bringing the natural curiosity out of our older learners, whereas a traditional curriculum can take it out of them. It can just,
that's what I find
encourage them.
And that's what I find exciting about the early years curriculum here. So it's a blended curriculum that's for all of our students, and developing those skills of creativity and collaboration. You only have to go into the early years to feel that vibrancy, and you can see that in the activities that the children and their teachers are involved in, and that's how we benefit from these partnerships. They are a great way to develop those skills right from the pre-nursery, which is, for me, that's the most exciting thing, because those skills go all the way through the school.
Yeah, absolutely. Foundation is quite literally that. You're building a foundation for their life, really, to progress through BIS, but then, of course, their lives thereafter. And when you talk about STEAM, for me, STEAM absolutely epitomises early years. It's the perfect environment to learn around for me. If you look at the characteristics of effective learning, which we teach as part of the early years curriculum, playing and exploring, thinking of ideas, making links in their learning, nothing can bring that out of our children in their own unique way, like our STEAM curriculum, like providing those specialist STEAM opportunities. And quite often, as an early years teacher previously, you felt that early years maybe have been excluded from the whole school initiatives. But personally, working at BIS in the early years, I feel like the influence of the MIT partnership, of our Juilliard partnership, is felt even as far down as the early years. I have children in my class who have improved massively in their dances, different varieties of dances through the Juilliard scheme. Or we were a huge part of the Elemental Con, and they enjoyed being part of something bigger than just that early years foundation stage, being part of the whole school initiative. So for me, it's a real big part of BIS.
No, I think that one of the things that I really enjoyed when we saw the demo class was the joy and the passion in the faces of the children there, and it was a small group of children, but I think a group of characters, individual characters.
Absolutely, and that opportunity, it wasn't so linear that every end product was going to be the same. They had a remit through which provided a scaffolding, as we might say in England, but they had the opportunity to complete that task, think about that task, amend that task accordingly throughout. And as you saw at the end products with the bridges were all completely different, whether they prioritised the structural integrity of that bridge, the aesthetics and the appearance of that bridge, or the cost efficiency of that bridge, of course. They all had the opportunity to be a unique child, which is a huge part of our earliest foundation stage. But also I think being a unique child, being an individual, not just a class, but an individual within a class, is what being a child and education should all be about for me.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you a little bit more about being an individual. Something that we talk about an awful lot in terms of the philosophy of the school is be ambitious and helping children be the best that they can be. And I'm curious to understand how that works on a day-to-day basis in the classroom with children.
Absolutely, yeah. For me, as a more experienced practitioner now, you realise, as I mentioned previously, it's not just a class of 18 children, it's 18 individuals who come with such a range of experiences and backstories and strengths, but also areas that we need to help them develop in so they can achieve their best possible. Andrew mentioned earlier about our environment. One of our principles that underpins the early years curriculum is enabling environments. Do they have the opportunity with the resources, with their area, to develop individually, to explore, to learn about the world around them? And we mentioned questioning in terms of communication and language, and actually knowing at what stage that child is. Are we commenting on what they're doing? Are we asking them questions? Are we narrating what they're doing? Are we discussing with them? And it's that expertise of the teachers knowing what stage they're at, what their interests are, what their journey needs to be. We may be a class, but those children are all heading on individual journeys, but all towards the same goal ultimately.
No, absolutely, and the journey starts with you, so that's quite a big responsibility of making them safe, picking it up and starting that journey right the way through the school, and I know that you play an important part in that. I'm wondering if we have some questions.
We have got very good questions,
Great.
but very practical.
Okay, good.
So do our pre-nursery kids have a nap time every day?
Yes, they do. They have the opportunity to have a nap time if they wish, if that's appropriate for them at that age. Yeah, they're certainly there.
Can you tell us what's the benefit of having nap? Because some parents might think, oh, they take a nap for 2 hours in school. Is it a really good thing?
We don't let them sleep all day, no. So, obviously for some children they need to have a rest, and that's an important part. And that's forever has been the case.
Yes,
and again, I think it's that individual needs for the students. So it's what is right for that child will be different for another. And so it's about us, I think, responding.
Not every child sleeps every day.
Okay.
My little boy, we were concerned about it. When was the right time and when was not the right time? But actually, he told us the right time. When he wanted to have a nap, he had the possibility to have a nap, but then when he found that his friends were not napping so much, he made the decision that he wanted to continue. So with the teachers there, he did just that. So it's an individual thing. I think we work with the teachers.
For me, children, they develop at such different rates within the early years, and actually these milestones are not important. It's their journey. It's how we get them there. And the reason, first and foremost, they may sleep to make them feel happy, safe and secure, because of course if these elements aren't in place, then no learning can really happen. So first and foremost, it's about the child. Are they happy? Is that something that the sleep that's going to be required to give them the confidence, the energy to carry on? So every child is different, but we will facilitate those individual needs as best we can to create that unique child.
Okay, I have another question actually. What types of extracurricular activities are available for primary children?
So primary, our formal school-based ECA programme starts at year 1, and we have everything from Lego to choirs to music to performing arts, sports, dancing. We've got the BIS School of Dance. Then we have the BISCAP programme with swimming, with basketball.
Absolutely. Taekwondo, some of my children engage in that,
and all sorts of different things that really any child can have a variety of interests, or do something that specifically interests them, and they can do something most nights along the same path.
I remember when you were talking to the parents and you were saying it is about giving a breadth of choice and then allowing the child to explore and find which one. I know that you're also involved in extracurricular activities.
Yes,
Tell me a little bit how it is from a teacher's perspective.
I run the under-11s boys football team, and they're very eager. And I remember trying to think back, it's quite a while ago now, but I was that age and playing football for the primary school, and the opportunities, it was so exciting just to go to another primary school across the city. But I know with these children, we're working towards making them grow as individuals, but also there's opportunities there for much bigger competitions. There's opportunities to potentially travel to Thailand, to Phuket for this year. I know there's the Nord Anglia Games, and I know we were going to host one of those particular games. I believe the Year 5 football competition. I appreciate circumstances meant that couldn't go ahead, but there's huge opportunities that can make children feel really proud and a real sense of achievement. And of course, with it being a team sport, they grow together, they develop together, and it provides some real strong memories for them when they do eventually finish their journey at BIS, I think.
Yeah, I think with extracurricular activities, there are two things. There are skills, but also making friends.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think that many parents that I speak to are very keen to make sure that they're going to make friends. And the football and the different activities that are on offer allows them to make friends very quickly. Swimming's also a big one, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. Children can swim most days if that's their passion. We have before school, we have after school, we have weekends. The pools are very, very busy, very well utilised.
Yeah, they are. So there are two pools. There's the pool in the primary school, and every child gets an opportunity to learn to swim.
Yeah. So right from our pre-nursery, so up from pre-nursery up to year 3, they have one swimming lesson every week. The other lesson being a more PE lesson, and then year 4, 5, and 6, the swimming will then be on rotation with the other sports. To the PE programme. Yeah,
they're probably our busiest rooms. The two pools are absolutely well used.
Most popular, I think.
Yeah? I have another one. How the school help the children and the parents to settle in the new environment, because it could be very daunting for both parents and the children.
Who wants to take that one?
Well, part of our warm welcome is that we have a buddy system. So in many of our classes, we choose maybe somebody who speaks a common language with our new child, but we have had children who've come as the only speaker of that language in a year group, so we'd find someone who is willing, eager, and it may be also somebody else becomes their break time buddy because they like to play football or they like to play cards or Uno, lots of different things that the children do. There might be somebody else again who is their buddy for the dining room or to go to the Mandarin lessons or the MFL. So we really, our children are so good at welcoming new people. We're such an international school, and our children remember what it's like to be the new person. And so they're always so eager and willing, and they're so excited when we get new people that it's just part of that warm welcome and that real sort of family feeling of the school.
And you'll see that with families dropping their children off. It's a very welcoming community. So we know we'll have new parents that have not been to Shanghai before and are joining us as families from Europe. And so we have a great PTA team that help families to settle in. Lots of events taking place at the school so that you can get to know each other as families. You talked about the ECAs. There's lots of opportunities there for the children to meet and make new friends, but also for the parents, because we know that as a family settling down in the city, a new school, our role is to help the whole family. and that's something that we've been doing now for 15 years. So and it's our community that are good at it. And so for children coming in, yes, we support them, but it's also how we support the whole family. How do I know how my daughters got on their very first day? And that's where we have protocols in place and communication with the family before the children join us. Those very first stages, I mentioned well-being and really focusing on supporting their safety, their happiness, so that that nurturing element can take place.
Yeah, I think those 15 years are very important in developing all areas of the school: community, academics, sport, ECAs. It takes a long time to actually really embed it, and those 15 years have been able to help us to do that.
And I also have another question. How do we communicate with the parents? Like from assessment of the progress or just daily tasks?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I can talk about as a school, across the school, there are regular communications from different leaders of different phases of the school. But I also know that in early years you use Seesaw, I think, on a daily basis, right?
We do indeed. To be honest, the homeschool communication is very well established here. Quite often parents can feel left in the dark, but I feel here there's not only an obligation, but also a real desire to keep parents in the loop, to ensure that flowing and sort of smooth homeschool link, not only to let the parents know how they're doing from an academic point of view, but from are they happy, are they safe, are there any problems? And we also use a program called Tapestry, which from a more of an assessment point of view, parents can see specifically what they've been learning about, how this relates to the curriculum, what the next steps are. And our parents are so supportive that they will work on certain aspects at home. So instead of just being school and then that's the end of their education, there tends to be a continuous process for me. And for me, during this period of live learning, the parents have been amazingly supportive. And I communicate with most of my children on a daily basis. The parents want to help, and I want to help them too. So I can provide my guidance, but they will also put the work in with their child. And our children have made remarkable progress because of our strong homeschoolings, even during this period for me.
So the Seesaw, this Tapestry, these are apps.
These
right?
are apps,
You can get them on your phone, pictures, video. What would you say?
Absolutely, Seesaw, Tapestry, available on desktops, laptops, iPads, mobile phones. I personally use my mobile phone so I can access it outside of work. If I get a response from a parent through Seesaw, or I want to send something through Tapestry, I can do that all of the time, not just in restrictive hours. And parents can get updates 24/7. Now we won't necessarily send them 24/7, but the option is there if we do need to communicate with them or they wish to communicate with us. So it works both ways. But for me, the combination of those two programs is working very well to create constant communication with our parents.
And then more formally, we report 3 times a year. 4 times a year, we have a settling report after the first 2 weeks of children's time at school, whether that's, generally speaking, that comes out in September, but then even if children join us partway through the year, they still get a settling report just to let parents know how things are going. Then we have a more formal term 1 and term 2 report, and then our summary end of year report comes out at the end of term 3. And then within that we have 2 face-to-face parent-teacher conferences in term 1 and term 2. And then in addition to that, we have a Meet the Teacher, more social event early on in August, September time, where again, parents get to meet each other, they get to meet the teachers, learn about the routines of the classroom. And then also we have parent workshops. So we're delivering all sorts of different things.
Sure, and I think they're the key for me as well. So it's great to have those formal reports, that daily communication, but actually as a parent, I've benefited from attending phonics workshops, numeracy workshops, so I can find out from the teacher, well, what's happening and how can I support my child when I'm away from school? What kind of activities can I do with them around the house? To actually improve their numeracy skills when they're looking at geometry, perhaps, for example. So I really like those workshops. As a parent, I get to meet other parents, I get to ask questions, and it's all about questions.
And I think just going back to the question about the national curriculum and different countries and different curricula, through these workshops we can say to parents, this is how we teach this. This is how we do things here. One of my favourite ones was actually an EAL workshop that Shaheen Khan led, and the parents were playing games, and they were just so excited. And afterwards, Shaheen had a few emails saying, I went on Taobao and I bought these games for my children, because we hadn't really appreciated the real benefits of learning through these interactive sessions, and we can play them as a family and we can all learn.
That's the secret, isn't it? I mean, we talk about the academics of the school. The 60% of our IB students go to top 100. I think 33% go to top 50 universities. And so the real question is how? Yeah, how do we do that? And that participation, that active communication and participation between students, teachers, and parents are really the secret to nurturing that. Would you say?
Absolutely. I talk about this golden triangle all the time with parents and children, working together with teachers, and it's that journey with communication, encouraging those skills all the way through the school. So that blended learning with with sports, with STEAM, with Juilliard and performing arts, that academic focus as well. That all of those things come together on that educational journey, and it makes our children reflective learners, I think. They know how to work together, they know how to focus, they know how to think about their own well-being, and I think it's all of those things then that we capture along the way, and at BIS, as I said, with 15 years, we're now seeing lots of students coming through that joined us in pre-nursery and are now off to these top 50 universities around the world. And that, for me, that's the measure of success. And they are just wonderful young adults. And they come back and they see us and they tell us what they've been doing, and they go and look at the early years or show them where it started, and again that vibrancy is there. So for me, that's, I'm incredibly proud of passionate teachers, committed parents that want to work with us, and I think those are our keys to success for the children.
Interesting, following a pathway all the way through the school. What other questions do you have?
Yeah,
for us,
so I have another very practical question. How much time is allocated to PE class or outdoor time in primary?
So throughout the school, from pre-nursery up to year 6, we have 2 PE lessons a week, so 2 full lessons. The younger students starts at roughly 20 minutes in pre-nursery, up to the whole 55-minute session once they get to year 1, and then that stays the same up to year 6. Then in addition to that, they have outdoor time at break time and lunchtime.
And then, sorry, on top of that as well, early years, of course, the outdoor provision is a huge part of that. So they do also have the opportunity to explore outdoors during their independent learning time. So we have specialised areas where they can explore elements that might be more difficult to explore indoors. Plants, animals, mini beasts. So it's on top of what Ms Westwood here just explained, the earliest children do have that additional freedom and opportunity to, again, explore if they feel fit and they feel that's what they want to explore, but we do have these specialised outdoor provisions for the earliest as well.
Right. This question is about language provision. So what kind of language lessons do we provide for primary school?
Starting the early years, we have daily Mandarin sessions, which is group sessions and very interactive, enjoyable sessions.
Absolutely, with a familiar adult, with their familiar learning assistant, 30 minutes every day of Mandarin, which I know a lot of the parents really appreciate and really value as part of our offering at BIS.
And then once the children come into the primary school proper in year 1, the children either continue with their Mandarin learning or they have an EAL lesson. Or if for our Dutch national children, we have the Dutch programme as well. And that's for 4 lessons every week. And then into Key Stage 2, again, depending on the children's language learning needs, the Dutch school continues. And then Mandarin is for 3 lessons a week. Or children can take an extra 2 Mandarin lessons in the MFL session. Or again, if their English needs are great, they have 5 EAL sessions, and then it's very complex. And then in the MFL sessions, children can either do non-native Spanish or non-native French or native German, or as I say,
Wow.
more Mandarin.
It's about 7 languages, I think, that are provided over the course of the time. It's also interesting. You're not alone in your classroom, are you? You spoke about the learning
No,
assistant.
absolutely.
Right?
We have brilliant learning assistants. I
Yeah.
must say, their commitment and passion is really makes my job a lot easier as well. But they are the ones who can bridge that gap in communication if they need. They speak fluent Mandarin and fluent English, of course. Sort of an ambition I'm trying to have one day. But yeah, they're there to provide pastoral support. They're particularly reassuring for our new children if they are native Mandarin speakers. They have got that bridge to bridge that gap in communication, but they're a real integral part of our daily teaching from my point of view.
Right, sure.
I have another question. Do we have any kids well-being focused program? There is a
Wellbeing focus.
program. Yeah.
So part of the English national curriculum is what we call PSHE, personal social, how children can engage with each other, with their families, and how we as educators can help them do that. So yeah, our children's well-being is really, really important to us, because as we keep saying, if children are not happy, if they're not
Yeah,
confident,
absolutely.
if they're not comfortable, they won't learn. So we have to make sure that's...
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And you know, this is a virtual open day. Well, why is that? Because of the challenges of COVID-19. Well, the campus is beginning to reopen now. This week we've got more and more of our primary students coming in, and our early years children will be returning at the end of this week. Now, a lot of the focus of teachers for students that are returning to the school after quite a long time away from their friends and their teachers is actually to give them some time to reflect, to explore, to rebuild those relationships that we have with each other as human beings. We're not used, we're social animals, and children are too, and they're used to being able to sort of be with each other and learn from each other. And so, our well-being is very much focused on, for those students that are returning now, how can we support that smooth transition back into the school.
And I think one of the key things there, one of the key words would be connections, and that's something that we've really tried all along, is to keep those connections with the familiar faces. In the early years, the different teachers on top of their live sessions have been doing story times. The learning assistants have been sending little videos to the children. Everybody has been keeping those engagements.
Absolutely.
And one thing that I'm really conscious of as a head teacher is also that not all of our children are able to transition back to campus. And it's how we keep in those connections across the world. And so once a week now, we've got children coming together for their original class assemblies. So the children who are in Europe and North America, the children who are in other parts of Asia, and the children who are sitting in the classroom. And it's the joy on their faces to see each other again. They're so excited. And it's just, again, that pastoral support is so, so important.
Absolutely. So if I just add, from an early years point of view, if you do look at our curriculum, personal, social and emotional development is actually one of our prime areas. We prioritise that above most things, really. And the areas within that, managing feelings and behaviour, making relationships, and self-confidence and self-awareness. Now, of course, that's as important in early years as it would be for us as adults, but when they come in, those are our priorities. We know the academic success will come later if we can really prioritise and really establish those levels of personal, social and emotional development, as well as communication and language, of course. And from an early years teacher point of view, we are having an event we use the phrase touch base. So on Monday, lots of our early years children will be coming to a venue external to BIS to meet the early years staff that are still in Shanghai, to collect a little token of our gratitude and appreciation, and just to sort of give them a face contact before they return to school on the 8th, from my point of view, the 8th of June, staggered entry for different areas of early years. But it certainly is a priority, and it will always be a priority, personal, social, emotional development. It will always take precedence and take priority over many areas of learning for me.
Yeah, I really like the fact that my little boy can come home and tell us how he feels. And that's something I know that has been nurtured here. and it's an important part of his development.
This is very good question. My boy is really shy, and how can you give me an example of how teacher actually bring up the confidence? Just give one example maybe.
Yes, absolutely. Give them time. So there's no pressures on our children when they come in. We prioritise their happiness and their safety. But of course, as I mentioned before, with the unique child, if we know that child, if we are familiar with their backstory, their interests, their languages, their needs, then that will help us not only to reassure the child, but to reassure the parents. Now, children will speak when they're ready to speak, but there's things we can put in place to try and encourage and develop that. And that's where our enabling environment comes in. If the provision is there, if the interesting, engaging activities are there, nothing is a better conversational point than a good activity, than a resource, than a toy. So children will quickly come out of their shell, I find, in the early years, but in their own time and at their own pace. Whether it's, and again, having such a range of nationalities, if they're Mandarin speaking, English speaking, or other languages, they will find somebody, a common ground, somebody who can support them, communicate with them, and cater to their needs. So it certainly is an important question, but I believe we cater to that very well here.
Okay. So we were talking about the children's well-being, but how about the parents' well-being? Do we have any particular?
Yeah, I mean, again, I'd refer back and say it's how do we help our parents to settle into the school community, and it's Beth mentioned running events at the school, giving parents the opportunity to meet together. We have a very active parent events team, and every month they organise either a trip into Shanghai or an activity that's close to the school, and that allows our parents to to become involved in either sporting activities or cultural interests or travel opportunities, and so that's again about our parents' well-being and supporting them. I think the workshops that we offer in terms of support, until you're a parent, you don't quite realise the challenges that little people bring, and so it's about sharing experiences. So we have a Mums and Tots club at the school that takes place every day, and again it's about connecting. It's about the opportunities to share any issues that you're facing as a family, and doing that in a safe environment, in a friendly, supportive environment. And again, for me, that's part of the role of our school. It's beyond the academics, it's beyond the curriculum, it's actually a hub in the local community, and our role as teachers, as leaders, as friends, is to support each other. And that's very much, I think, the philosophy that surrounds the well-being of all of us, that we don't just see the children, the teachers, the parents. It's actually a collective. It's how do we support all of us.
All right. I know we are talking about the primary children, but our year 6 students will actually go to year 7 very soon. And how do we help our year 6 students going to secondary?
So actually, a lot of our children right from year 3 will go over to the secondary building for some of their lessons. So and indeed some of our younger students may even go over every now and again for PE. But certainly music occasionally is taught over in the specialist rooms in secondary. Again, the bigger sports halls for basketball, or the bigger swimming pool. Also the languages lessons often happen over in secondary. So they're very familiar with the building to start with. It's much less of a scary place. And then our year 5 and 6 students have lunch over in the secondary dining hall every day. And our year 6 students have their break times outside on the tennis courts and on the football pitches. So again, it's very gently eased in as one school.
Yes, and again, that's it. It's that confidence. We talked about how you develop confidence for children new to the school or new in early years. for our 5s and 6s, as they go through that transition, it isn't only the fact that they're familiar and that they see us as a whole school rather than two separate places on a campus. They spend lots of time interacting. But for me, one of the best things that I think our student leaders do in year 6 and 5 and 7 is that they connect. And so our pupils from year 7 who have had that experience of moving into a different type of curriculum, a different way of doing things, will come and visit the classes for years 6 and year 5 and actually start to answer those questions, to start to begin to explore them, because the kind of questions that our year 6s have are ones that are very particular to them. And so listening to other children explain their experiences is often better than us telling children what it's like. So, for me, that's a really powerful way of supporting them.
And it's the same for you, isn't it? Because you look after reception, which is that step between the kindergarten early years
Absolutely.
and then getting into primary school. So how do you help children make that step-by-step transition?
Well, transition between the early years and the year 1 is always considered when you work in reception and you're so close to that jump for them, where it's not a huge jump, but it could mean a change of location, it could mean a complete change of curriculum, of course. So again, we will put in days where they're already, similar to what Miss Westwood was saying, familiar with the facilities, the swimming pool, the music facilities. It all requires moving around the school, becoming familiar with where the older children are currently learning, where they work, where my children will ultimately end up one day. So they're very excited to learn where year 1, year 2, who is right at the top of the building. It's all very exciting to 4 and 5-year-olds. But I think when we talked about that confidence, they have resilience. And I've never known quite a cohort that have such resilience and enthusiasm and aren't really knocked or phased quite so easily. So for me, when they move to year 1, which won't be before too long, of course, I believe they'll take it all in their stride.
Yeah, I think that's right. There are a couple of points which are jumping out at me. It's about the teachers working with the children to build that confidence, make them feel safe, make them feel comfortable, and let them go at their own pace.
Yes, absolutely.
If they're shy, they will build it in time. And the teacher's skill is to work with them to do that. I think there are many examples, Elizabeth, that you talk about how the UK curriculum, Juilliard and MIT can help nurture that. And Andrew, you talk about the triangle. The student really at the centre, but the parents and the teachers and the communications between that, and the strength of the community is important in terms of helping children excel. Thank you for all of your questions. I'm afraid our time is now up. Every child is different. If you want to talk about your child, please do contact us at admissions@bispushi.com or visit the website bispushi and get in touch with us, and we'll be very happy to talk to you with one of our academic senior leadership team and talk to you about how your child can excel at the British International School Shanghai Puxi. Thank you very much for joining us.